I've always believed that instead of asking, when will someone change this? We should rather ask, how can I change this? Today we are going to talk about how anyone can become a source of inspiration and positive change to their community and the people around them. And the person joining me today definitely walks the talk. One of my favorite quotes is, "Be the change you want to see in the world." And what my dear friend has done speaks to the very core of that message. Today, I'm honored to introduce Helen Kruger, and Helen and a passionate group of residents are dedicated to creating a cleaner and more well-maintained suburb by taking proactive steps rather than waiting for change to happen. Now, every member, including Helen, contributes their time purely out of commitment to making a tangible difference without any remuneration. Helen's vision is not just about cleaning up the neighborhood, but fostering a deeper sense of shared responsibility and pride within the community. And I'm excited to talk about this incredible initiative and the impact it's making, especially because it showcases how anyone can be the change they want to see in the world. Let's get right into it. Hi, Helen. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so excited to have you here, and I'm so excited about your project as well. So thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I always enjoy our conversations, and it's lovely just to have a chat about what's going on.
So the reason we are here today is to talk about your community cleanup project, which I find extremely inspiring. And why don't you give us just a background or a quick overview of what it is that Boksburg Community Cleanup does?
Okay, right. So Boksburg Community Project started about a year and a half ago. And basically what we're doing is we are tackling community spaces like parks that aren't being maintained, road curbs and roadsides and that, anything and everything that affects us as a community, from wide open spaces that have litter strewn all over the place to potholes that are causing a huge issue within our residents and in commercial spaces. So that's what the project is about, really just cleaning up and uplifting the community.
Yes, and I love that. And I think so many people can resonate with that because it's lacking everywhere, you know, from government or the municipality side. There's not really much happening, and it gets very frustrating. And I think so many people, especially in South Africa, can really resonate. And that feeling when you drive around and it's just litter everywhere, it's horrible, and it really pulls the community down.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly that. You know, I mean, when I drive around, that's all I noticed. And I think it's because I'm in the project, I notice it even more. And sometimes it can really be daunting, you know, but I think as long as we are all pulling together and trying to make a difference, you know, and that's what we need to realize, it's everybody's responsibility. It's not just the municipality's responsibility. And yeah, there's huge debates about it, but all around the world, people are taking responsibility for doing their bit. You know, I mean, there's states in America where businesses and residents get together to clean up, not the states. And I mean, you know, even our dearly loved Rod Stewart in the UK goes and fixes his potholes on his street. So, you know, it's not just South Africa. Even
Yes.
though we are used to a certain standard and value that happened years ago, yeah, we've also got to understand that we have to make the difference. If we want to see a difference, we got to make the change at the end of the day.
Yes, yes. And I mean this, I just love that because that's what my channel is about, my coaching is about. It's like no one else is going to make it happen for you, make it happen for yourself. And it's so rewarding and so satisfying. And what I love about your project, it's not only cleanup. You paint the curbs, you paint public playgrounds, clean up little streams and rivers. So it's really, it encompasses everything. It's not just picking up papers. And Yeah, it takes a lot of organization as well to do that, to gather all the people, to get the right people who can even do it. So it's massive. It's really impressive.
It is. Um, it can sometimes be rather daunting. But I think it's just taking that first step, no matter who you are. And if it's just you that pitches up on the day to do something, at least you are the one, and you have the power. You taking back your power and you're doing something to make a difference. And I think, people need to realize it's not just about cleaning up, it's about everything that goes with it. So from the well-being of society, if you're living in a cleaner environment, it's healthier for your mind, for your body, for your spirit. People can go out into the parks and play, and you're driving down into a commercial um, atmosphere and industry community, and everything is dirty and there's litter everywhere. It makes you feel unsafe. You don't want to do business there. So when you start cleaning up that environment and you're making it more representable, people are drawn into the area to do business. And then investment goes, hey, look at this area, it's booming. People want to go there, let's invest. So it has a ripple effects, it's not just about cleaning, it's about everything that goes along with it.
We actually went to Dinner King last weekend, and we stayed in a lodge. It was super clean. Like everything that was there was perfect. And while I was there, it inspired me, to, when I come home, to clean up, to throw out, to make everything simple and clean and perfect again, because it just feels so good. So even if it's not your town, if it's a completely different place, just by keeping your space clean, you can inspire others to be better in their area as well.
For sure. And I'm sure it made you just feel good.
Yes.
Things don't need to be new to feel good.
That's
as long as they maintain. And I think that's the thing as well. If we don't maintain what we have, very soon we won't have anything. It is our infrastructure is old, it's not being repaired. So we need to look at that as well, as a community, because that will benefit us. People, powers that be, don't necessarily live in our community, so it doesn't affect them. Where we all live here, it affects our daily lives, it affects our property prices and everything else. And that's why, we need to look after and maintain, keep it clean, just for our spirits, but for our community to operate as well.
Yes. I love that you think so wide. You're not only thinking about yourself, you're thinking about everyone. And I think that's the true spirit of an entrepreneur, and also a visionary. A visionary doesn't have to take us to Mars necessarily. It's also about creating impactful change, not just for yourself, but for everyone around you. So it's so amazing that you're doing that.
Thank you. Yeah, and it would be nice if I can encourage more people to see it that way as well. I think, the past couple of years in South Africa, we know people have been on a downward spiral, in a sense, just in the sense of feeling and what the country is going through, etc. And if we can just see the bigger picture in the small actions that we take and how it can improve ourselves and our community, we have power to be and to make the change. Don't leave the power in the government's hands and the councillors' hands and the municipalities' hands and wait for them to do something. Be that power, be the power of change. It just gives you a different outlook. You don't feel as despondent because you're doing something, so it's to change people's mindsets. Because there's different arguments about different things, and why do we pay this and why do we pay that, and I understand, and we all do the same thing. But I think for ourselves and our general well-being, we just need to take it into our own hands. And I think that's the biggest challenge, is changing people's mindsets around that.
Yes.
Take back your power. What's more powerful? people doing their own stuff and not needing the powers that be that aren't delivering.
I want to have like a background of applause now. Because that's so true. And you know, my motto in life is unfair, people are unfair, now what?
Yeah.
So you can sit and sulk about it, or you can do something. And you know, this probably goes on a tangent a little bit, but I wonder if the whole community comes together and cleans up and take things into their own hands, if that won't even inspire the government or the municipality to become more active. Because I think if you see just this massive mess and you don't have a lot of resources, you don't know where to start, you kind of stand back.
Yeah.
But if you see, oh, okay, there's already progress, it's already being handled, so now we can just jump in and support. And again, I know this will be triggering for some people to hear, because like, why should we start? They should start. But who knows, you know, maybe that gives like that gap, or it gives the vision back to them to say, okay, let's jump in and support the community, because if they're putting in so much effort, then we can at least match that, or we can at least support that. So who knows, maybe we inspire the powers that be.
Yeah, you never know. And you know, it's so funny, like we talk about taking our power. I think it was Tabo and Becky who said we should be very wary when the masses start taking things into their own hands. That's the most dangerous. So, you know, I think, look, I see there is some change happening. There's little projects happening here and there and everywhere, which is inspiring, and it makes me feel better. But there's so much to do. And we're all responsible for our country, not just the people that we elect to carry out certain duties. We are all responsible. Just like we're responsible in our family life and in our businesses, we are all responsible to contribute. There's no such thing, and there's no excuse of sitting back and going, well, you know what, I pay rates and taxes, or I pay my taxes. We are all responsible. And one day when you turn around and something's happened in your community and your property value has decreased by 60% or 70%, you need to look back on yourself and go, did I do enough in my community to prevent this?
Yeah.
So, you know, I think, and we are trying to tell our story, not about what we're doing. We're trying to tell them why we're doing it. You know, I think there's been a lot of social media where we're going, this is what we are doing. And now we're telling people this is why we are doing it. You know, it's to have a clean environment, but it has a ripple effect on everything. And that's how we're trying to change people's mindset.
Yes.
Because it's very much a culture of we pay, you do.
Yes.
And that culture has changed, or should I say, that has changed in the past however many years. You know, it's no longer a government that you pay and they do, because it doesn't happen. You know? And it's really not about political, and I don't want to take it into political or government and who does what. I think we all have the responsibility to ourselves and our family and our future to make something happen.
Yes, and just drawing that to the South African spirit as well, because I think we're such a special country and we have such special people, and you know, people who come together from so many different cultures and backgrounds and all standing together.
Yeah, and I think we are a special nation. You so 100%. We South Africans, we can do something, and we can make a difference. You know, so stop sitting back and pointing fingers. And you know what? It's as simple as taking a black bag out of your cupboard and walking up and down your street and picking up litter. You know, or you know, if there's a little patch of felt open across the road from you, it's like going to your neighbors and going, right, who has weed eaters? Let's cut it, let's make it, let's clean it up. It's small actions that we can all do.
Yes. And so the topic of this episode, or the title, is Be the Change Everyone Else is Waiting for You. And often we wait for others to start, but in this case, you were the one who started. So What was that moment for you where you said, screw it, I'm just going to change it now. I'm going to improve everything?
Well, it actually started in our park, and we always walk our dogs in our park. And after COVID, or during COVID, should I say, nothing happened. And even afterwards, and the grass was long and overgrown. There was litter everywhere. We had vagrants starting to move into the area, and the paths were overgrown. And I'd walk in this park continuously going, why is nobody doing something? Why is nobody doing something? We should get together. We need to clean the park. We need to sort it out, and I'll tell the quick story. You are the inspiration. And I always tell the story, you had something on Facebook where you said something along the lines of an inspired thought is just a thought unless you take action, And that day I was feeling despondent, but in that moment of despair, in a sense, I had that idea in the back of my mind and then felt inspired by your words. And I thought, you know what? Even if it's getting one or two guys with a spade to start clearing the paths, let's do something. And so it was quite a mixture of inspiration and desperation, and which just kind of culminated into, like you say, screw it, we need to do it now,
Yes.
And I went up to our local shopping center where a lot of the unemployed, unskilled workers sat, and I said, right, I need two guys. I'll pay you some money for the day. Come help me in the park, And that's where it started. And anybody can do it. I had two spades in my garage, and it was like, right, guys, let's clean up. And it just spiraled from there, actually, very unintentionally, because I thought the only thing I'm going to do is look after this park. It didn't turn out that way.
Yeah, well, I don't think you can be any other way, because I'll see you're a registered NPO.
That's
if
right,
you do
John.
something, you go big. You all in.
Yeah, it was kind of like, we start from there, and then it was, okay, right, let's organize a community litter cleanup, and
Yes.
we put the word out on Facebook, and it was myself, Des, Normsa, and her friend, and we're at the park that morning, 8 o'clock, at the meeting spot, and nobody arrived. And you're like, well, okay. Well, there's four of us. We're going to do what we can do. And we had armed with our black bags and our gloves, and we started picking up litter. And then next minute, Des came running and said, oh, there's a couple over down there on the opposite side of the park. They're busy picking up litter. And then there was a grandmother and a mother and a son that were out busy picking up litter. And yeah, and it just, and on that day, there were probably about 10, maybe 15 of us max. But people had got the word, and people were tired of seeing their park the way it was, and they started coming out, So there are people there that want to take action. I think maybe they're just not necessarily, or they don't know how to. So they're waiting for somebody to do something, because they're like, well, I can't just pitch with a black bag. Yeah, for sure you can. Just take that initial step and people will follow.
Yes, and I think that's so important to note as well. If you start something like that, so you might be listening to this conversation and feel really inspired, like, yes, I can do something as well. And we glamorize it in our minds. We think, hey, I'm going to start this big change now. It's going to be so awesome, and I'm going to be fulfilled and inspired the whole time. It's not how it works. So you start, and maybe for months you might be the only person believing in your project, or you might get pushback. I mean, I was part of one of your cleanups one day, and I still remember they were wheat eating, and a lady drove past and a stone came onto her car, and she was so angry, like created a whole scene. And I couldn't understand it, because I mean, it was her community as well that was being cleaned up by volunteers. So, just be mindful of that as well. It's not that glamorous. Like, you get pushback. There will be days where you're really demotivated, where you feel like, what's even the point? Because I clean up now, tomorrow it's dirty again. So it sometimes feels like a
Yeah, it's
worthless
sometimes,
struggle, or not
yeah,
worthless, but you know that you're not really moving the needle a lot.
yeah, it is disheartening. Let me tell you, it's like you clean up the park and then the next day you walk past and somebody's just done stuff. And you're like, oh, for goodness sakes, you know, or
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, a lot of people actually, you know, if I think of it, we have more support than we do pushback. You do have your odd people that go, oh, we are not doing anything. This is not our responsibility. And you'll get people like that in life. It's very difficult. I must tell you, in the beginning of the year, I was in two minds about carrying on because it drains you. It really does. And you've got to find that something within you to keep on going and to keep it alive, you know. And it just takes one comment to say thank you so much, you're inspiring us, and thank you for your good work, etc. That kind of just motivates you to carry on. Or you'll bump into another cleanup project and they'll go, oh, let's do something together, and we go, okay, great, you know. And it's inspiring to do a project together, and you feed off each other's energy and vibe, etc. But yeah, it's tough, eh? We're busy doing 67 days worth of cleanup, and I mean that was inspired by Nelson Mandela Day, where I said, well, you know, we're not just doing 67 minutes, we're going to do 67 days. And we literally are out there asking businesses for a day sponsorship, you know. Give us a day, it covers the labor, it covers the black bags, and we're going to basically clean up the main drag, which is about 15 to 16 kilometers back and forth with the islands and everything else. And this main drag goes from Kempton through Benoni and Boksburg, etc., into the industrial area. So it is a very main thoroughfare throughout our towns, you know. And we tackled that, and it's a big thing, you know. And your daily grind, you're busy and you're out there, and a spot you've done, you drive past the next day and it's somebody's done stuff there. And guys that have opened illegal fish and chips shop in the industrial area just go and literally dump all their rubbish on the sidewalk. And so it's not great, and it makes me feel, well, my first reaction is angry, and then I think, hang on a second, do we have the necessary services for these people to throw their rubbish away? Because if you had it at your disposal, would you be dumping it on the side of the road? So, you know, it's not just the cleaning. We also got to look at the other aspects as well, you know, and go, okay, well,
Amazing.
do we have the bins at every business that they can throw their rubbish in?
Yeah.
Do we have the service where every week the municipality comes and takes it away? So yeah, you've got to look at it like that. And then there's just changing the value systems of people to say, no, you're not creating jobs by throwing your rubbish on the side of the road. And we try and change that mentality.
Yeah.
You know?
Your mindset is just amazing, and also your empathy and your compassion, you know, because it's not just about getting angry with the dude who's working against you unknowingly, probably. But it's also about what's the core of the problem, and let's fix the core, and not just
and that's what we need to tackle. And that's quite a big thing. It's not just cleaning, it's how do we tackle that? And we definitely need everybody's help to be able to do that.
Yes. On that note, the mindset of tackling something like this, what do you think is the necessary mindset? Do you have to have a lot of self-confidence? Because it is a big thing. It is a scary thing to approach businesses and ask for sponsorships. You know,
sure.
it's hard to put yourself out there to organize everything, and then if it doesn't work out, you're the one to blame. All of that. So I think a lot of people have great intentions. They really want to do something, but they truly just don't believe that they are able to make a change. And what would you say the necessary mindset is to say, screw it, let's do it?
Yeah, I think you have to have a very strong mindset, but you have to have a little bit of courage, because it is, I mean, to go into businesses, you know, asking for money, please contribute to fix up our neighborhood, can be, yeah, quite daunting and scary, and you need to work yourself up to go and do it. You know, I'm naturally an outgoing person, so I can imagine introverted people trying to tackle something like this, going into businesses and asking them. But you know, what's the worst that can happen? They can say no. You know, yesterday when I dropped the guys off to start their morning chores down Atlas Road, we have 7 more days of this project, and we need sponsorship. We have no more sponsorship to finish our 7 days. And so I was like, right, I'm just going to go and pop into these businesses. And you just, you know, some people stare at you blankly and go, oh, we'll just send our email, our head office an email. And some people interact with you. And you've just got to shrug it off. You just have to. You almost have to have a little bit of a thick skin. And you know what? They say no, that's fine. You know, so many no's in sales. They say you get what, 9 no's and then 1 yes. It sometimes happens from the people you least expect. They're the ones that go, okay, you know what? Yeah, for sure. Let's help you. You're doing a great job. You know, we can't give you much, but we can give you something. So it's those people, it's the people you least expect that always somehow surprise you. So, yeah, you've got to have a little bit of guts. But it develops over time. The more you go and ask people, the stronger you get, for the lack of a better terminology, or the more confident you get. Though, I mean, I have my days where I'll speak to somebody and like go, am I explaining myself correctly? Am I selling this properly? You know, am I selling the why? Am I so you know, it's trying to sell them the why as well. This is why we're doing it, and it can benefit your business or your community or whatever else. So yeah, it does. You need a very strong mindset, and I think not everybody can do it.
Yeah, but you might not be the leader of it, but you can start it and find the right people who are comfortable with doing it.
Yeah, you just need to find your friend that's super outgoing and doesn't mind speaking to anybody, and kind of pull them in and go, right, you come in with me. And I think that's also the thing, you know, I do it on my own. So I go and ask money from businesses on my own. So you feel very isolated when you walk in there, like it's just you. But yeah, you know, I suppose I think I've just, you get to a point where you just, even in business, I mean, I go into appointments on my own, and you've just got to overcome that fear, and you've got to, yeah, and I think over time you just develop a little bit more of a thick skin, you know.
Yes. And there's a reason you're the brand expert. Hey, you are really good with that. I've noticed, like, whenever because I think I'm more the introverted one.
Right.
And I've noticed when we go together to an event or something, like, people just flock around you. You just have that natural aura around you where it's very easy to talk to you, you know, and you attract people. So I think that definitely adds value to this kind of project as well, to be very open and able to talk to people. That's a big thing. And I think just to that point, to expand on that, if a business says no, I also think it's important to not make it about you. So they're not saying no to you. Maybe they just really don't have the means to help at the moment, or they might just be wary because they are so, especially again in South Africa, a lot of people give you a very tragic story, and we've kind of developed thick skins to others' traumas because there's so much of it, and we don't really know if we can believe it, because someone will give you a sob story and the next day you see them giving another person that exact same story, and it makes us lose trust. So I don't think it's because people don't want to help. They maybe just have a bit of a trust issue to know that it's really making a difference and going to the right place.
For sure. I think, there definitely are a couple of factors. One is financial, for sure. Lots of companies had a tough beginning of the year. So I understand. I mean, we had 2 monthly donors that had committed around last year, September, October, with a decent amount of money because we wanted to get a worker for the month that went Monday to Friday cleaning up our area and our community. And sure, the beginning of the year, they just said, geez, we can't donate. We can't give that money. And you've just got to understand it. You know, as a business owner, I understand that. And I just say, everybody needs to pull together. It shouldn't just be businesses. You know, if everybody just gave 50 Rand that you spend for 1 cup of coffee, you don't understand the change we can make with 50 Rand. If every household gave 50 Rand, we could make a huge change. I mean, we wouldn't have potholes, we'd have all our nice road signs up, we'd have a clean environment, and then we could implement other things within the community, you know. So yeah, because it's not just the responsibility of business.
That's
or
for
one
sure.
or two individuals, you know. Everybody needs to pull together.
Yes, and we'll definitely, I'll link the banking details. If you do want to give a donation, I'll link that in the description down below, and also a link to Helen's Facebook page and the website of the Boksburg Community Project if you want to show them support. The one last question I have, I could talk to you for hours, but you know, we probably have to
I can talk for hours.
I love that. I'm going to have to invite you back again. But one last question I have, because time, no one has time, you know, to do anything anymore. So I would help if only I had time. Now, you yourself run your own business, brand expert. We can see that in the background there. And it's a full-time job. It takes a lot just to run that business. And now you have this NPO, which is a whole business in itself, and which I'm sure is even more time consuming, or just as time consuming as your actual business or your source of income. So you're definitely not a victim to that excuse that there's not enough time to make a difference. What would you say to our listeners out there if they say, I wish I could, but I don't have time? How do you manage running 2 businesses, basically?
Look, it's difficult, you know. You definitely sacrifice somewhere along the line. If I'm doing stuff for the community project, during the week, I'm sacrificing time within my business that I need to make up after hours or before we get going, etc., because my income is the most important. You know, and I say to people, your income is the most important. Without that, you can't help anybody. So if you can't help yourself, you can't help anybody else. So that is always a priority. In saying that, you know, even if it's 30 minutes to do something, whether it's to send an email to a friend to say, hey, check out our community project. Would you like to go and help World Cleanup Day on the 21st of September? Let's just go for 20 minutes or a half an hour. If you don't have that time, you can always contribute in other ways. So monetary is always a thing. And the reason we say, please donate, because that money goes straight into the community. It doesn't come into my pocket. I don't get paid for doing any of this. This is purely my time that I volunteer. But I do pay people that are unemployed to clean up. So we're not just cleaning up. We are hiring people. We're giving them opportunity to work so that their family has food on their table. So you can give in that way. You can give by sharing our social media posts and commenting and getting other people involved, or referring companies that want exposure. Hey guys, you know, have a look at this project. Why don't you contact Helen and see how you can assist? So there's various ways you can help. You could, you know, so it's, I think often we just too selfish, and it's good to be selfish. I'm not saying it's not good to be selfish, because I think you always need to look after yourself first. But I think, you know, life is not just about us in our little oyster. It's about connecting with others and with helping out our community and the world that we live in. You know, everybody has at least 10 minutes or 20 minutes. Don't watch America's Got Talent tonight and come out and do something. Record it and binge watch on the weekend, for instance.
Yes.
But everybody has something to give. Whether it's donating black bags, donating 50 Rand, bringing your kids to the park to come help pick up some litter, because it's a good family outing. So you could create that whole family outing around that. They can play on the swings and you can pick up some litter. Just those little actions.
Yes, and teaching them those values from a very young age, that's amazing for them as well. It's a teachable moment, a teachable opportunity.
Yeah, so I mean, you could make it an outing for them. You could teach them how to contribute and how to feel fulfilled. I think a lot of times we don't involve kids these days, and they're around there without any purpose. They're on their phones, they're on social media, and we're giving them no purpose.
Yes.
And so, yeah, so this is give them purpose, you know.
Yes.
And I think that's why schools these days also you have to do community service within our school system, which is great, you know, because some kids really get inspired and it really gives them a sense of purpose. And some kids it doesn't. It's just hours that they've got to do. And I mean, we've all been kids, and I mean, you know, it's like, oh, what? We got to go pick up litter.
Yeah, and you don't understand, right? As a kid, you don't necessarily understand the bigger picture.
And you only really understand when you're an adult anyway. But I think if you offer that guidance, you will instill. I mean, this is a story. When we started that park cleanup, you know, I said to you there were about 10 or 15 people that came. And the one family was the grandmother, the mother, and the son, or the grandson, Brendan. And we called them the originals because at every project they were there and they were doing something. And this kid was just super excited to contribute to the community. And he would be so upset if he missed any of our events because he wasn't helping out. And, you know, that's thanks to his parents and his grandmother that are there going, right, we need to clean up, we need to look after our park, etc. And that like added so much value to his life.
Yes.
So, you know.
Yes, and so from a young...
You can make it a teaching experience.
Yes, yes. And, you know, from a young age, they learn, I can do something, I can make a change, even if it's so small. So that just builds the foundation or lays the foundation that in their lives, when they're adults, when they're in control, they can say, hey, I can actually make this change. I don't have to wait for someone else to do it.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can take it in that context as well. So you don't need to give money. You can add value to your family and your kids by creating or instilling confidence in them that they can do something. They can make a change. And I think that's what's lacking in society these days is kids having the confidence, kids realizing that they are valuable. Yeah, they have purpose and they can make a change. So, you know, it's good.
I love
that. We can all do something. I think we just often use it as an excuse. I sometimes use things as an excuse. It's like, oh, you know, I need to do something at home. So besides the project and work, you know, you have chores at home as well. And it's like, I'm going to do it next weekend. And next weekend comes and I go, oh, I'm so tired. I'm just going to chill a bit. I've had a busy, you know. So I think sometimes we just make excuses because we're human and we can.
Yes.
And it takes a lot to make that commitment and just do something. But when you do it, it actually makes you feel better. It's like when you exercise. You know, I'm not a big exercise person, but when I go out and I do a walk and I come back, I feel so much better.
Yes.
It's just to get out there and do something.
Yes, yes. And there's that saying, if you want something done, give it to a busy person. Because I think momentum creates momentum. Action leads to more action. So if you just get going, you know, you'll find 5 minutes.
Yeah, you do somehow actually. In all the chaos, you do. You know, it's like, oh, let me quickly do this. Hang on, let me quickly send an email for the charity golf day that we're doing. Okay, back to work again. Let's do this. So you just do.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so I think That sums it up nicely. And I just again want to tell you how much I appreciate you. And I'm sure I speak for a lot of people in our community who also appreciate you, that you took the initiative, you didn't shy away from it, and you're making a great impact. And every time I talk with you, I'm inspired. Like, man, I want to go and clean up something now.
So we'll see you on the 21st of September at our cleanup day. Huh?
Okay, I'm committed. I'll be there.
Fantastic. You're there. Great. And listen, I just want to thank you for your support to our project. I know you've donated for our 67 days as well, and it just makes a difference, so thank you.
Oh, well, it's like you say, we all want to create a better community, and we all want to be happy, and we can all make the change. So awesome to be part of or have people around us that do that. So
sure.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, thank you everyone for tuning in. I hope you feel just as inspired as I'm feeling right now, just to go and do something and make a change, even if it's tiny. Don't think that it won't make a difference. It definitely will. Someone else might see you doing it and they feel inspired, and you might not even know what kind of ripple effect you're starting. So if you were wondering today if you should start something, go and do it right now. Thank you so much, Helen, for joining me. I'm sure I'm going to have you back on my podcast because I just love chatting with you, and I think you have so much to share. You have such a wonderful mindset, not only with this project, but I know in business as well. You've been a mentor to me for many years as well in my business. So yeah, I hope I'll have you back soon, and thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you so much. And I just want to leave this thought with everybody out there that's watching this. Is everything starts with a single decision. To make today better than yesterday. So what are you waiting for?
I love that.
Thank you.
Perfect end. Thank you, everyone. And always remember to live a self-powered life. I'll catch you again in the next one. Bye.